My wife invited me to her company's pharmaceutical gala just to humiliate me. She let her CEO grope her right in front of me while I sat in the back like forgotten furniture. She smiled at me like I was too stupid to understand. 10 minutes later, his tooth gleamed on the flagstone near a fern. My name is Warren Callahan. I'm 47 years old, and for the past 23 years, I've worked as a paramedic and EMT supervisor in downtown Phoenix. It's not glamorous work. No corner office, no stock options, no invitations to black tie events where they serve champagne that costs more than my weekly paycheck. But it's honest work. The kind where you actually save lives instead of just talking about quarterly projections and market penetration. Monica, my wife, she took a different path. Started in pharmaceutical sales right out of college, climbed the ladder fast. Too fast, maybe. By the time she hit 40, she was vice president of marketing at Whitmore Pharmaceuticals, pulling in a salary that made my paycheck look like lunch money. She wore designer suits that cost more than my truck payment, carried a phone that never stopped buzzing with important messages from important people. We met back in college, Arizona State, 1998. She was pre-med then, or so she said. Had this whole plan about becoming a pediatrician, helping kids, making a difference. I fell hard for that version of her. The girl who volunteered at free clinics on weekends, who cried watching documentaries about children in poverty, who said she wanted to build a family and do something meaningful with her life. That girl disappeared somewhere between graduation and her first promotion. The invitation came 3 weeks ago. Thick cardstock, embossed lettering, the kind of paper that screams money. She dropped it on the kitchen table while I was making breakfast for the kids. Paul, our oldest at 19, was home from college for the weekend. Chloe, 16, was upstairs getting ready for school. Noah, our 13-year-old, was at the table working on some robotics project, circuits and wires spread across his placemat. "You need to come to this," Monica said, not looking at me. She was already dressed for work, black suit, red heels that clicked against the tile like gunshots. I picked up the invitation, read it. A gala? "Monica, you know I hate these things." "It's not optional, Warren." Her voice had that edge to it, the one that meant the discussion was already over before it started. "Appearances matter. The board will be there. Graham will be there. I need you there." Graham. She said his name the way other people say their spouse's name. Familiar. Comfortable. Too comfortable. "What about the kids?" I asked, knowing it was pointless. "They'll be fine. Paul can watch them." She grabbed her purse, checked her phone. "It's one night, Warren. Try not to embarrass me." And just like that, she was gone. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and I stood there in my paramedic uniform, holding an invitation to a world where I'd never quite fit, where I was always just Monica's husband. The guy who showed up, smiled politely, and stood in corners while she networked and laughed at jokes that weren't funny. Paul looked up from his coffee. "You going?" "Guess I have to," I said, setting the invitation down. "Dad," Paul said quietly. "My oldest son, the one we'd adopted 18 years ago when Monica said she couldn't have children. The one she'd agreed to take in because I'd pushed for it, because I'd wanted a family even if biology wouldn't cooperate. You don't have to do everything she says." I looked at him, 19 years old and already wiser than his old man. "I know, son." But I didn't know. Not really. Because 3 weeks later, I'd be standing in that ballroom, watching my wife let another man's hands wander across her body like I wasn't even there. And 10 minutes after that, I'd do something I'd never done before in my life. I'd stop being the nice guy. The thing about working in emergency medicine is you learn to spot patterns. A certain cluster of symptoms means stroke. A particular rhythm on the monitor means cardiac arrest. You train yourself to see what's coming before it fully arrives, because seconds matter when someone's dying on your gurney. I should have applied that same skill to my marriage. The signs were everywhere. I just didn't want to diagnose them. It started small, maybe 2 years ago. Monica's late nights became later. Her business trips multiplied. The smell of cologne that wasn't mine would cling to her coat. When I asked about it, she'd laugh it off. "Warren, I work with men all day. What do you expect?" I expected my wife not to come home smelling like someone else. Then came the phone calls. She'd step outside to take them, even in winter, come back in with flushed cheeks, claiming it was just the cold. Her texts lit up at dinner, during movies, at 2 in the morning. Always work. Always urgent. Always Graham. Graham Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Pharmaceuticals. 53 years old, divorced twice, lived in a penthouse downtown that probably cost more than I'd make in 10 lifetimes. He had that polished look rich men get. Perfect hair, perfect teeth, perfect tan, that came from perfect vacations to perfect places. Monica talked about him constantly. Graham says we need to pivot the marketing strategy. Graham thinks we should expand into European markets. Graham believes I'm ready for an executive VP position. Graham. I met him once at a company picnic 2 summers ago. He shook my hand with the grip of a man who'd practiced it, smiled with teeth too white to be real, and said something about how lucky he was to have Monica on his team. She's quite exceptional, your wife, he'd said, holding eye contact just a beat too long. We're doing great things together. Together. That word stuck with me. Paul noticed it too. My oldest son had always been observant, quiet, thoughtful, the kind of kid who watched and processed before speaking. One night about 6 months ago, he came into the garage where I was working on my truck. Dad, can I ask you something? Sure, buddy. I didn't look up from the engine. Why do you let her treat you like that? I froze. Like what? Like you don't matter. His voice was steady, but I could hear the frustration underneath. She doesn't even look at you anymore. She talks about her boss more than she talks about us. When's the last time she asked about your day? I couldn't remember. Marriage is complicated, Paul. No, Dad. Respect is simple. He left the garage, leaving me alone with the truth. Kids see things adults pretend not to notice. A week before the gala, I found something I wasn't looking for. I'd been looking for our insurance documents in Monica's home office when I saw the folder. Medical records. Old ones, from before Paul's adoption. I opened it. Inside were test results, doctor's notes, consultation summaries. I read through them twice, then a third time, my hands shaking. There was nothing wrong with her. No fertility issues. No complications. No medical reason she couldn't get pregnant. She'd lied. About all of it. We'd adopted Paul because I'd pushed for children and she claimed biology wouldn't cooperate. Then mysteriously, 2 years later, she got pregnant with Chloe. Another 3 years, Noah arrived. She'd fabricated an entire medical condition to avoid having my child first. To delay. To control. I put the folder back exactly where I found it, my mind racing. How long had she been planning exits, building escape routes, keeping me at a distance? That's when I knew. The gala wasn't just another corporate event. It was a message. After finding those medical records, I did what any paramedic does when facing a critical situation. I made a plan. Assessed the damage. Gather my resources. Prepared for the worst-case scenario. Because that's what this was. The worst case. My wife had lied about being infertile to avoid having my child. She'd manipulated me into adoption, then mysteriously recovered just in time to have 2 more kids. And now she was parading her affair in front of me, like I was too stupid to notice. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation without leverage is just noise. So I started documenting everything. I opened a separate email account under a name that wasn't mine. Took photos of the medical records with my phone. Screenshots of credit card statements showing charges at hotels I'd never stayed in, restaurants I'd never eaten at, all on nights she claimed to be working late. I checked her phone records. Found hundreds of calls to one number. Graham's personal line. Calls that lasted 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes over an hour. At midnight. At 2 in the morning. On weekends when she said she was at the gym. Then I did something I'm not proud of, but won't apologize for. I installed a tracking app on her car. One of those GPS things marketed to parents worried about teenage drivers. $30 online, installed in 5 minutes while she was inside getting ready for work. Within a week, the pattern was clear. Every Thursday night, her car went to the same place. The Riverside Hotel. Downtown. Expensive. The kind of place that doesn't ask questions when executives rent rooms by the hour. She'd park in the underground garage. Stay for 2, sometimes 3 hours. Then drive home, shower immediately, climb in a bed smelling like hotel soap and lies. I said nothing. Just watched. Waited. Collected evidence like I was building a case for court. Because that's exactly what I was doing. Paul noticed a change in me. One Saturday morning, he found me in the garage, organizing files in a locked metal box. Dad, what's all that? Insurance stuff, I said. Just getting organized. He looked at the box, then at me. You're planning something. Smart kid. Just being careful, son. Does it have to do with Mom? I met his eyes. Saw the hope there. hoped that maybe, finally, his father was going to stop being a doormat. Yeah, it does. He nodded slowly. Good. Whatever you're doing, I'm on your side. Paul, you don't have to. She's never loved me, Dad. Not really. His voice stayed steady, but I heard the pain underneath. I heard her on the phone last month, talking to someone about how adopting me was the biggest mistake she ever made. How I was just a placeholder until she could have her real kids. My hands clenched. She said that. Word for word. He looked at the metal box again. So yeah, whatever you're planning, I'm with you. Chloe and Noah, too. We all see what she is. That night, I made an appointment. Not with a therapist. Not with a marriage counselor. With Brenda Halverson, the lawyer who drafted our prenuptial agreement back in 2003. Brenda was old school. 62, sharp as a blade, with a reputation for leaving opposing counsel bleeding on courtroom floors. She told me years ago to include specific clauses in the prenup. Clauses about infidelity, about public humiliation, about reputational harm. Monica had laughed at them. Called me paranoid. Signed anyway because she never thought she'd get caught. Time to find out if Brenda's foresight was about to pay off. The night of the annual Pharmaceutical Industry Awards Gala, I dressed carefully. Black suit, not rented. White shirt, pressed. Navy tie that Monica had bought me 3 Christmases ago, back when she still pretended to care. I looked at myself in the mirror. 47 years old. Gray starting to show at the temples. Lines around my eyes from too many night shifts. I looked like what I was. A working man heading into a room full of people who'd never worked a day in their lives. But I wasn't going there to fit in anymore. I was going there to finish something. Monica came out of the bedroom in a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Low cut, high slit, the kind of dress you wear when you're trying to get noticed. She looked stunning, and I felt absolutely nothing. You ready? She asked, not looking at me. She was checking her phone. Again. Yeah. The drive downtown was silent. She texted the entire way. Didn't ask about my day. Didn't mention the kids. Didn't acknowledge my existence, except to tell me where to park. The Regency Hotel ballroom was exactly what I expected. Crystal chandeliers. Ice sculptures. Waiters in tuxedos, carrying trays of champagne that cost more per glass than I made per hour. Pharmaceutical executives in $1,000 suits talking about profit margins and FDA approvals like they were discussing baseball scores. Monica's name tag was waiting at the registration desk. Dr. Monica Callahan, Vice President of Marketing, Whitmore Pharmaceuticals. Mine said Warren Callahan. No title, no affiliation, just a name. Your table is number 12, the registration woman said to Monica, smiling. Then she looked at me. You're at table 27, near the back. Monica didn't even blink. That's fine. Warren doesn't mind. And just like that, she walked away, headed straight for the front of the room where the executive tables waited. I watched her go. Watched her spot Graham Whitmore at table 12. Watched her face light up in a way it never lit up for me anymore. I found table 27, near the service entrance. Close enough to see the stage. Far enough to be forgotten. The couple next to me introduced themselves. Sales reps. Nice people. Asked what I did. I'm a paramedic, I said. Oh, that's wonderful, the wife said. So important. Important. But not important enough to sit at the front. The speeches started. Some vice president talking about innovation and commitment and partnership. Corporate word salad that meant nothing. Then Graham Whitmore stood up. 53 years old. Perfect hair. Perfect smile. Perfect everything. He thanked the team. Made a joke about working late with dedicated people. His eyes found Monica when he said it. She smiled back. Then I saw it. His hand, moving slowly under the table, landing on her thigh. Her red dress riding up slightly as she shifted to give him better access. She didn't push him away. Didn't flinch. Didn't even look uncomfortable. She looked pleased. My jaw clenched. My hands gripped the edge of the table. The couple next to me kept talking, but I didn't hear them anymore. I just watched my wife let another man touch her in a room full of people. Watched her smile at me across the distance like this was exactly what she wanted me to see. 10 minutes, I thought. Just 10 more minutes. Graham Whitmore excused himself from the executive table exactly 8 minutes after his hand disappeared under my wife's dress. I'd been counting, watching, waiting for the pattern to repeat itself, because men like him are creatures of habit. He straightened his tie, said something to Monica that made her laugh, and walked toward the side exit that led to the patio. The smoking area, where executives went to make deals and tell jokes they couldn't say in front of shareholders. I stood up. The couple at my table barely noticed. They were deep in conversation about quarterly projections or some other thing that didn't matter. I walked calmly through the ballroom, past tables of people drinking expensive wine and pretending their lives had meaning, past waiters carrying trays of desserts nobody would eat, past the registration desk where my name tag had identified me as nobody important. The patio was barely lit, just a few wall sconces casting amber light across flagstone and potted plants that looked expensive but artificial. Graham stood near the far railing, lighting a cigar. Cuban, probably. The kind you can't get legally, but men like him always have connections for. He heard my footsteps, turned, saw me approaching in my off-the-rack suit with my working man's hands and my paramedic's shoulders. "Oh," he said, smiling like we were old friends. "Warren, right? Didn't know you smoked." "I don't." I stopped 3 feet away, close enough to see the smug satisfaction in his eyes. The kind of look men get when they think they've won something. His smile widened. "Then what can I do for you?" "You're going to apologize." The smile faltered. "Just for a second. Excuse me for putting your hands on my wife. In front of me. In front of everyone." My voice stayed level, calm, the way it does when I'm talking someone down from a ledge or telling a family their loved one didn't make it. "You're going to apologize." He laughed. Actually laughed. One of those short, dismissive sounds that rich men make when poor men challenge them. "Look, Warren, I don't know what you think you saw. I saw you grow my wife at table 12 while she smiled at me like I was too stupid to notice. I saw your hand on her thigh. I saw her let you." He took a drag from his cigar, exhaled slowly. "Your wife and I have a professional relationship. A close professional relationship. We work well together. That's all. That's all. That's all." He leaned against the railing. Casual. Comfortable. Like this conversation was already over. "And, frankly, if you have concerns about your marriage, maybe you should take them up with Monica. Not with me. I'm just her boss. Just her boss." The words hung there between us like smoke. "So you're not going to apologize." "For what?" He spread his hands. "For being successful, for recognizing talent, for giving your wife opportunities you never could." He pointed at me with the cigar. "Let's be honest, Warren. You and Monica, you're not exactly in the same league anymore. She's going places. Big places. And you're a paramedic." He said it like paramedic was another word for failure. "She deserves someone who can keep up with her," Graham continued. "Someone on her level. Someone who understands ambition and power and what it takes to win." He smiled again. "Someone like me." I didn't say anything. Just looked at him. Really looked at him. 53 years old. 2 divorces. A history of affairs with employees that his lawyers paid to keep quiet. A man who thought money and position made him untouchable. "You done?" I asked quietly. "Yeah, I'm done. Now if you'll excuse me." I hit him once. Clean. Direct. Right on the jaw. Not a wild swing. Not an emotional outburst. Just a single, precise punch delivered with 23 years of lifting patients and equipment and working double shifts that kept my body strong. His head snapped sideways. The cigar flew from his hand in a spinning arc of red ember. His knees buckled. He went down hard, back slamming against the flagstone with a sound like a rug being beaten. A tooth skittered across the patio. One of his front ones. It caught the amber light, gleaming white against dark stone before rolling to a stop near a potted fern. He lay there, stunned, mouth open, blood starting to pool where the tooth used to be. His perfect smile suddenly very imperfect. I stood over him, adjusted my cuffs, looked down at the man who thought he could take my wife because he had more money in a corner office. "That's for touching her," I said, "and for thinking I wouldn't do anything about it." Then I walked back inside, left him bleeding on the patio with his Cuban cigar smoldering on the flagstone and his tooth keeping it company. I walked back in the ballroom like nothing had happened, straightened my tie, grabbed a glass of water from a passing waiter, returned to table 27, where the couple next to me was still discussing market shares and profit margins. "Everything all right?" the wife asked. "You were gone a while. Just needed some air," I said. 5 minutes later, the murmur started. Low at first, then spreading. People whispering, looking toward the patio entrance. A waiter rushed past, moving quickly toward the service area. Then Graham Whitmore appeared. He walked slowly, One hand pressed his mouth. Blood seeped between his fingers. His perfect hair was mussed. His expensive suit had dirt on the shoulders. But what caught everyone's attention was his smile. Or rather, the gap where his smile used to be. The ballroom went quiet. That special kind of silence that happens when something scandalous occurs and nobody knows how to react yet. Graham made it halfway to the executive table before hotel security intercepted him. Two men in dark suits, earpieces, the kind of security rich people pay for. They surrounded him, speaking in low, urgent tones. Monica stood up from table 12. Her face had gone pale. She looked around, scanning the room. Her eyes found me at table 27. I raised my water glass. Smiled. Just a little. Her expression shifted from confusion to horror to something else. Recognition. Understanding. The realization that her quiet, dependable, forgettable husband had just done something unforgettable. Security escorted Graham toward the service exit. He was arguing with them, trying to explain, but his words came out slurred and wet from the missing tooth and blood. Monica grabbed her purse and followed. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Phones came out. People started texting, taking pictures, the kind of moment that spreads through corporate circles like wildfire. I finished my water, stood up, walked calmly toward the exit. Nobody stopped me. Nobody asked questions. I was just Monica Callahan's husband, the paramedic, the guy who didn't matter. Except now I did. I drove home in silence. No radio, no phone calls, just the sound of tires on pavement and the echo of Graham's head hitting flagstone. When I got home, the kids were still awake. Paul was in the living room with Chloe and Noah, watching a movie. Dad. Paul stood up when I walked in. You're back early. Where's Mom? Still at the gala, I said. He looked at me. Really looked. Saw something in my face. What happened? Nothing that didn't need to happen. Chloe turned from the TV. Is everything okay? Yeah, sweetheart. Everything's fine. I kissed the top of her head. You guys should get to bed soon. School tomorrow. Noah looked up from his robotics project. Dad, your knuckles are bleeding. I glanced down. He was right. Small splits across 2 knuckles. Nothing serious. Just evidence. Scrape them on something, I said. I'll clean them up. Paul followed me to the kitchen. Watched as I ran cold water over my hand. You hit him, Paul said. Not a question. A statement. Yeah. Good. He leaned against the counter. What happens now? Now. I dried my hands. Now we wait. Monica will come home. She'll be angry. She'll make threats. And tomorrow, I'm filing for divorce. The prenup. Clause 12b. Public reputational harm through adultery or professional misconduct. I looked at my son. She signed it 20 years ago. Never thought it would matter. Paul smiled. Actually smiled. She's going to lose everything. She already did. She just doesn't know it yet. Monica came home at 2:30 in the morning. I heard her car pull into the driveway. Heard her heels clicking on the walkway. Heard the door open with that familiar creak I'd never fixed because she'd stopped asking. I was sitting in the living room. Lights off. Just waiting. She saw me in the dark. Stopped. Her silhouette framed by the hallway light behind her. Warren. Her voice was tight. Controlled. The voice she used in boardrooms when someone challenged her. We need to talk. Yeah, we do. She dropped her purse on the entry table. Walked into the living room, but didn't sit. Just stood there in her red dress, arms crossed. What you did tonight was unacceptable. Assault. In front of witnesses. Graham is talking about pressing charges. Let him. Let him. She laughed. Sharp. Bitter. Do you have any idea what you've done? To me? To my career? To my reputation? Your reputation. I leaned forward. The one where you let your married boss put his hands on you in public? That reputation. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, Monica. I was there. I watched his hand go under your dress. I watched you smile at me while it happened. My voice stayed level. Calm. You wanted me to see it. That was the whole point of inviting me. She opened her mouth. Closed it. For once, she had no corporate response ready. How long? I asked. Warren. How long have you been sleeping with Graham Whitmore? Silence. Then, 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Of late nights. Of hotel rooms and Thursday meetings that weren't meetings at all. And before him, her face changed. What? Before Graham. Were there others? She didn't answer. Didn't need to. The look in her eyes told me everything. Get out, I said quietly. This is my house, too. Actually, it's not. I stood up, pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket. The one Brenda had prepared years ago. Remember this? Our prenuptial agreement. Page 4. Clause 12b. I handed it to her. She took it. Read it under the dim light. Any public act resulting in reputational harm through adultery or professional misconduct nullifies all spousal financial claims. She looked up. You can't enforce this. I already am. Brenda Halverson filed the paperwork this afternoon, before the gala. Monica's face went pale. You planned this. No, you planned this. I just prepared for it. I walked to the door, opened it. You have until Monday to move out. After that, the locks change. The kids stay with me. Paul's already 18. He can testify, and he will. I looked at her, really looked at the woman I'd married 20 years ago. The woman who'd lied about being infertile, who'd used our adopted son as a placeholder, who destroyed our family for a corner office and a man with perfect teeth and no morals. Chloe and Noah will choose too. Want to guess who they'll pick? She stood there. Red dress. Perfect makeup. Perfect hair. Perfectly alone. You'll regret this, she said. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. I gestured to the open door. Leave. She grabbed her purse, walked past me without another word, got her car, drove away. I closed the door, locked it, stood there in the dark house that suddenly felt bigger, emptier, cleaner. Paul came down the stairs. She's gone. Yeah. He walked over, put a hand on my shoulder. You okay, Dad? Yes, son. I'm okay. For the first time in years, I actually meant it. Monday morning came faster than I expected. I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Spent the morning at Brenda Halverson's office instead, signing documents that would end my marriage and secure my future. You're sure about this? Brenda asked, pen hovering over the filing paperwork. Once I submit this, there's no going back. I'm sure. She nodded. Signed. Stamped. Done. Monica's going to fight, Brenda said. She'll claim the prenup is invalid, that you coerced her, that the clause is unenforceable. Can she win? Not with what you've got. Brenda tapped the folder on her desk. Thick with evidence. GPS records. Hotel receipts. Credit card statements. Photos. But she'll try. And it'll get ugly. It's already ugly. My phone buzzed. Text from Paul. Dad, you need to see this. I opened the link he sent. A local news website. The headline made my stomach drop. Pharmaceutical executive assaulted at industry gala. There was a photo. Grainy. Someone's phone camera. Graham Whitmore being escorted out by security, hand covering his bloody mouth. And in the background, just visible, Monica following him. Her face clear. Her expression panicked. The article didn't name me. Just said, an altercation occurred, and police are investigating. They're going public, I said. Brenda looked at the article. Smiled. Good. Good. Warren, this is exactly what we need. Public documentation. Media coverage. Evidence of the affair being connected to a violent incident. She pulled up something on her computer. And look at this. Someone posted video. She turned the screen. Social media. Short clip. 10 seconds. Graham and Monica at the executive table. His hand, clearly visible, sliding under the table toward her. Her laughing. Leaning closer. The comments were brutal. Hundreds of them. People calling out the inappropriate behavior. Questioning the company's ethics. Demanding investigations. It's going viral, Brenda said. By this afternoon, Whitmore Pharmaceuticals will be in crisis mode. Their CEO caught on camera in what looks like workplace harassment. Your wife enabling it. The optics are terrible. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Callahan. A woman's voice. Professional. This is Detective Sarah Reeves with Phoenix PD. I need to speak with you about an incident Saturday night. Here we go. I'm available. Can you come to the station this afternoon? 2 o'clock. I'll be there. I hung up. Looked at Brenda. Police want to talk. Expected. Don't say anything without me present. She started gathering files. I'm coming with you. At 1:30, my phone buzzed again. This time, a call from a number I recognized. Whitmore Pharmaceuticals. Main line. I answered. Hello. Mr. Callahan, this is Robert Stevens from Whitmore Pharmaceuticals Human Resources. Smooth voice. Practiced. We'd like to discuss Saturday's incident. Are you available for a meeting? I have a lawyer. route everything through her. Mr. Callahan, we're not looking to cause problems. We simply want to resolve this quietly. Quietly. Like how your CEO quietly had his hands on my wife at your company event. Silence on the other end. Talk to my lawyer, Brenda Halverson. You can find her number online. I hung up. Brenda was grinning. They're scared. Good. Let them be scared. At the police station, Detective Reeves was exactly what I expected. Mid-40s. Sharp eyes. 15 years of dealing with liars and truth-tellers. She led us to an interview room. Concrete walls. Metal table. Recording equipment. Mr. Callahan, can you tell me what happened Saturday night at the Regency Hotel? I looked at Brenda. She nodded. I confronted Graham Whitmore about his inappropriate behavior with my wife. He refused to apologize. I hit him once. Then I left. Witnesses say you struck him without provocation. Provocation. I pulled out my phone. Showed her the viral video. That's provocation. That's my wife. That's her boss. That's harassment caught on camera at a company event. Detective Reeves watched the video. Her expression didn't change. This doesn't justify assault. No, I said. But it explains it. She studied me. Mr. Whitmore wants to press charges. Then press them. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I leaned forward. But before you do, you might want to ask Mr. Whitmore about his history. 2 divorces. Multiple affairs with employees. Settlements paid to keep women quiet. I've got documentation if you need it. Brenda slid a folder across the table. Pattern of behavior. All public record. Detective Reeves opened it. Read. Her jaw tightened. I'll be in touch, she said finally. We left the station. Brenda looked pleased. They won't charge you. Too messy. Too much bad publicity for Whitmore. What about Monica? What about her? Brenda smiled. She just became unemployable in pharmaceutical circles. And we haven't even started the divorce proceedings yet. My phone buzzed. Text from Chloe. Dad, Mom's crying in her car outside the house. She won't leave. I sighed. This isn't over. No, Brenda agreed. But you're winning. The divorce hearing came 8 weeks after the gala. 8 weeks of Monica trying everything. Contesting the prenup. Claiming coercion. Hiring a lawyer who charged $300 an hour to lose. Brenda destroyed him in 12 minutes. The courtroom was small. Family court. Judge Patricia Hendricks presiding. 60 years old. 20 years on the bench. No patience for games. Monica sat at the plaintiff's table in a conservative navy suit. Trying to look sympathetic. Wronged. The victim of an abusive husband who'd assaulted her boss. Brenda stood up. Your Honor, I'd like to enter exhibit video footage from the annual Pharmaceutical Industry Awards Gala, dated 8 weeks ago. The bailiff set up the screen. The video played. Crystal clear. Graham Whitmore's hand. Monica's laugh. The intimate moment. The lack of resistance. Monica's lawyer objected. This is irrelevant. Overruled. Judge Hendricks said. Continue. Brenda played more. Screenshots of text messages between Monica and Graham. Hundreds of them. Some explicit. Some just damning. Hotel receipts. GPS logs from her car. A pattern spanning 6 months. Your Honor, Mrs. Callahan engaged in a sustained extramarital affair with her direct supervisor. She did so publicly at company events. She did so in ways that brought direct reputational harm to my client, as specified in Clause 12B of their prenuptial agreement, signed in 2003. Monica's lawyer tried again. The prenup was signed under duress. Was it? Brenda pulled out another document. This is the email Mrs. Callahan sent her attorney in 2003 after reviewing the prenup. Quote, the clauses are fair. Warren's just being cautious. I'm signing it voluntarily. Signed. Dated. Notarized. Judge Hendricks read the document. Looked at Monica. Is this your signature? Monica's voice was small. Yes. Then the prenup stands. Judge Hendricks turned to Brenda. What are you seeking? Full enforcement of Clause 12B. All marital assets to my client. Primary custody of the 2 minor children. Mrs. Callahan to retain only assets she brought into the marriage and her personal vehicle. Your Honor, that's excessive. Monica's lawyer started. Is it? Judge Hendricks looked at Monica. Mrs. Callahan, did you engage in an extramarital affair with Graham Whitmore? Silence. Answer the question. Yes. Monica's voice cracked. Did you do so at public company events where your husband was present? It wasn't like that. Yes or no? Yes. Judge Hendricks made a note. Call your first witness, Ms. Halverson. I call Paul Callahan. Paul walked to the stand. 19 years old. Steady. Clear-eyed. He was sworn in. Paul, what is your relationship to the defendant? She's my adoptive mother. Can you describe her relationship with you and your siblings? Paul didn't hesitate. Distant. Cold. She missed birthdays. Forgot school events. When I was 17, I overheard her on the phone telling someone that adopting me was the biggest mistake she'd made. That I was just a placeholder until she could have her real kids. Monica's face went pale. Did she love you, in your opinion? No. She loved her career, her status, herself. She tolerated us because it looked good. Monica's lawyer jumped up. Objection, speculation. It's his experience, Your Honor, Brenda said calmly. He's allowed to testify to that. Overruled. Continue. Paul's testimony lasted 20 minutes. Every word calm. Factual. Devastating. Then Brenda called me. I told the truth. All of it. The fake infertility diagnosis. The lies. The affair. The public humiliation. Monica's lawyer tried to make me look violent. Unstable. Mr. Callahan, you struck Graham Whitmore, correct? I did. Without provocation. With significant provocation. He refused to apologize for sexually harassing my wife at a public event. He told me she was too good for me, that she deserved someone on her level, someone like him. So you hit him? Yes. And you don't regret it? I looked at Monica, then back at the lawyer. No, I don't. Judge Hendricks banged her gavel. Mr. Callahan, while I don't condone violence, I understand the context. She looked at Monica. Mrs. Callahan, you have behaved in a manner that violates both your marriage vows and your prenuptial agreement. The agreement is valid and enforceable. She ruled. Full custody to me. The house. The savings. The cars. Everything we'd built together. Monica got her clothes. Her jewelry. Her BMW. And nothing else. She stood up. Tears running down her face. Warren. I didn't respond. Just walked out with Brenda and Paul. Outside the courthouse, Paul hugged me. It's over, Dad. Yes, son. It's over. 11 months after the gala, life looked different. Graham Whitmore was no longer CEO of Whitmore Pharmaceuticals. The board forced him out 3 weeks after the video went viral. Gave him a severance package and a non-disclosure agreement. Last I heard, he was consulting for a startup in California. Divorced for the 3rd time. Monica took a job in Minnesota. Mid-level position at a generic drug company. No corner office. No executive title. Just a job. She called the kids once a month. They rarely answered. Paul graduated from Arizona State with honors. Got into law school at Stanford. Told me he wanted to specialize in family law. Help people like us. Chloe was applying to colleges. 17 now. Strong. Independent. She'd grown closer to me over the past year. Said she finally understood what real love looked like. Noah was building robots in the garage. 14 years old. Already talking about engineering programs. He still asked about his mother sometimes. I told him the truth. That sometimes people choose careers over family. It was her loss, not his. I went back to work as a paramedic. My shifts. My patients. My purpose. It felt good to save lives again instead of fighting legal battles. One Saturday morning, I was in the garage working on my truck when Chloe came out. Dad, someone's here to see you. I wiped my hands. Walked to the front door. A woman stood on the porch. Mid-40s. Dark hair. Kind eyes. She wore hospital scrubs. Warren Callahan. That's me. I'm Lisa Brennan. I work in the ER at Phoenix General. We've crossed paths a few times on calls. I remembered her. Trauma nurse. Competent. Calm under pressure. What can I do for you? I heard what happened. With your divorce. With the gala. She smiled slightly. Everyone in the hospital heard about it. Some people think you're crazy. But most of us think you're brave. I just did what needed doing. That's what makes it brave. She held out a card. A bunch of us from the ER are doing a charity run next month. Kids hospital fundraiser. I thought maybe you want to join. Bring your kids. I looked at the card. Then at her. Yeah, I said. I'd like that. She smiled. Really smiled. Good. I'll see you there. After she left, Paul came out. Dad, was that nurse flirting with you? Maybe. Good. You deserve someone decent. I looked at my son. 19 years old. Wiser than I'd been at 30. Thanks, Paul. That evening, all 3 kids and I sat down for dinner. Homemade lasagna. Noah's favorite. We talked about school. College applications. Robot competitions. Normal things. After dinner, Chloe brought out a photo album. Our family. Before everything fell apart. Should we keep these? She asked. The ones with Mom. I looked at the photos. Monica smiling. Younger. Different. Before ambition ate everything else. Keep them, I said. Not for her. For you. So you remember where you came from. Noah looked up. Dad, are you happy now? Honest question. Deserved an honest answer. Yeah, buddy. I am. And I was. My marriage was over. My ex-wife had chosen status over family. I'd lost years trying to fix something that was broken from the start. But I had my kids. My integrity. My self-respect. I'd punched a man who thought money made him untouchable. I'd enforced a contract that protected me when love failed. I'd fought for my family when everyone expected me to stay quiet. The story went viral. People made memes, wrote articles, debated whether I was right or wrong. I didn't care. I wasn't doing it for them. I did it for the man in the mirror. The one who'd been invisible for too long. The one who finally decided he mattered.